Hey, you're listening to Don't Lie to Your Life Coach podcast with Kim Arrington. I'm Kim Arrington. I'm a life coach, a weight loss coach, an author, and a badass passionate about helping you connect back to your most authentic self. Join me here each week so I can coach you on how to think all those juicy thoughts that get you feeling your absolute best and taking some big ass action. Coaching has changed my life, and it can change your life too. I'm here to give you real life solutions to create a life you'll love. Because the truth is, boo, you ain't just got problems, you got options. Hey, y'all. These little intros I'm doing are getting weirder and weirder. I should have worn my crown today because I am talking about, we are learning about how to put yourself, your damn self, your best self, yourself however you're showing up on the pedestal. So what does that mean? Y'all know what it means. We stay putting other people on a pedestal. We say things like, I don't know if I can live without him. I don't know what I would do if this happened. This could never happen because I couldn't handle it. Whatever is on the back end of that, whatever noun, person, place, or thing is on the back end of that is what you're putting on a pedestal. The most life-changing thing you can do is decide that you're on the pedestal. You are the sun and the solar system is orbiting around you. Like, not in a conceited, but in a slightly, I'm all fucking that way. Yeah, a little bit of that, okay? And your version of that. So one of the things when we think about how to put yourself on the pedestal, how to be the king, the queen, the king and the queen of you, is you gotta watch self-sacrifice. I was gonna say self-sacrifice shit, but it sounded like a tongue twister. You gotta watch your self-sacrifice. So what is self-sacrifice really about? My nose is itching. First of all, it's fake. I'm gonna do all this for this person when I really want the person to do all this for me. So if I show them and I do it all for them, maybe they'll do it for me. And I'm gonna end up mad as hell and resentful and blame them anyway. They're probably going to be confused because they're probably thinking I'm like them if I'm doing something I really want to do it. This is like the codependence manifesto right here. I got a lot of experience with this in recovery. It's a bad habit. You probably saw someone self-sacrifice. For many of us, that was our mothers, some of us our fathers, some of us our grandparents or our aunts, whoever raised us. You are self-sacrificing partially to control how people see you. It's really people-pleasing, if you want me to be honest. I will link my people-pleasing episode, People Pleasing Ain't Pleasing You, to this. Now, there is a condition. You know, when people like lift the car off the child in superhuman feat, or they put themselves in between you and the bullet. There are times where we absolutely do these superhuman things. We rise to the occasion, but that's something else. That's not about want or recognition. That is almost a stepping into maybe something that soul, something that spirit is calling us to. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the stuff you really don't want to do, but you do anyway. You cannot be on the pedestal and do that. You got to question it. And let me tell you how small it is. It's a lot of small little choices too. This is how small and how easy this can be. I wanted to meet up with a friend at a coffee shop, and our schedules were literally switched, right? She was not available from 1 to 5. I was available to meet up from 1 to 5. We were going to go co-work together. And I had to pause and say to her, oh, our schedules are opposite. We'll pick another day. Now, the old me would have been like, oh, I want to see her so bad. Like, oh, I want to be with, another person because I, work with myself. I'll change my schedule. Now, for you all who want to change your schedule, sometimes that's cool. But for someone like me, I had things I needed to get done, and I would respect and I mean, not love myself, and not necessarily respect myself, but appreciate me keeping the promises to myself. And so I went ahead and put it out there. I couldn't do it. It doesn't have to be huge self-sacrifice and things. We ain't talking about necessarily giving a kidney and then trying to give your other kidney. No, we're not doing that, which by the way, you can't. But I'm talking about even the little micro decisions. Like you said, you were not going to cook this week because you have you're under deadline and you feel guilty and you cook anyway. If you're going to put yourself on the pedestal, it is keeping that promise to yourself. I said I was going to do this and I'm going to do it because it's for me. All right. Number 2, get ready. I'm going to say lots of lovely things about you. You are fabulous, fabulous. You are irresistible. You are incredible. You are mighty. You are wonderful. You are beautiful. You are amazing. And if you don't know it, that is your next quest to get your ass cheeks on that pedestal, to stand on that pedestal, is you realizing that. And I ain't faking it to make it. That is the dragon to slay. That is the way to save yourself, is to really see your goodness, not decide mistakes take it away, to realize you were born good. You were born amazing. And if you don't know it, this is the perfect time. And I want to help you out with some ways to do that. Okay. So you got to get on that throne. You're going to move the world out the way for a minute. You're going to go step by step. You may need a coach to help you with this. You're going to recognize that, one of the things I do are affirmations. I am worthy. I am irresistible. I am great. I look for the evidence. Remember that talking back to yourself? You might take one little area of your life. Say that you're preparing for law school, okay? And you're getting all your admission stuff together. I may say, I'm going to make an incredible attorney. I might say that 100 times a day, 25 times a day. I'm going to look at traits from, about myself that may make a great attorney. Wow, I'm really analytical. I really like to serve people. I really, keep going to find a solution. I'm going to look for those things. Okay. So you're going to look for the things that support what you say you are and what you want to be. You're going to need to recognize your uniqueness. And that is called your yum sum. I coined the phrase. So your yum sum is a thing that makes you irresistible, the thing that people say about you. My yum sum is that I'm a ham. I've been a ham since I'm always been a performer. I love to tell a joke. I love to see people laugh. I'm wise. I'm always want to help people as long as it doesn't knock me off my pedestal. So that whole idea of, I love clothes, I love earrings, that's part of my yum sum too. So here are some things to help you with your yum sum. And this is kind of the way that you realize you're irresistible, you're fabulous, you're wonderful. Some of them are physical traits. Some of them are emotional traits as well. So first thing you're going to ask is, what are your unique traits? And Marie Forleo had this activity in B school where you would actually email people and ask them, what are 3 things you think about me? What are 5 things you think about me? And I did that to people and I loved the responses that I got. Some of them I was surprised. Think about, and I want to be careful with this one. What have you accomplished? And I'm not just talking about, I have 55 degrees and 96 PhDs and 62 EDs. No, I'm not talking about EDs. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, I It could be accomplishments you've done for yourself, like volunteer once a week at the school. I got 10 miles in this month at walking. I was able, I had a client one time who was like, I just feel like I haven't done anything in my life. And she had a master's. And I was like, didn't you matriculate through a master's program? So that proves that you can start something and finish something. Like, it can be those kind of things, that you worked at the same job that you love for 10 years, that, but what if it's kind of like what if you were writing a bio, what would they put in your bio? And don't say nothing, I haven't done anything. We all have done things. What have you overcome? What have you overcome? What has happened in your life that was difficult and you were able to overcome it? So what have you done? What have you learned about yourself? What have you created? I wrote a book of poetry. I, went and did interviews with the elderly people in the community and compiled it into a documentary. So, and also, who are you? Like, how would people describe you? Like, what is it about your personality? That's your yum sum. That's the thing that makes you irresistible. There is nobody like you but you. I was about to sing a church song. There is no one like you. What's that? No one like you. Lord, how excellent. Okay, that's what came to my mind. Okay. And I think the third one is you deserve. You deserve your desires. You deserve to know you were born worthy. And you can live that way. And that, like anything, you have to keep returning to knowing you deserve your desires. You deserve to know that you're worthy. You deserve to know your yum sum. You deserve to be on a pedestal. Being on the pedestal is paying attention to your desires and then going after them if you choose to. You can have a desire and decide, oh, I don't think I want to do that one, but I'm going to do these. That is prioritizing yourself. Putting yourself on the pedestal is prioritizing yourself. Okay? Your desires are there for a reason. They want you to go for you. They want you to be you. They want you to know you. One of my biggest accomplishments of my life is the very deep, intimate relationship I have with myself. It matters to me more than anything and anybody. Anybody. I love people better when I allow myself to be fully myself, when I allow myself to go for what I want, when I allow myself to know myself. I have filled that cup and my cup runneth over and I can share some of that cup. Do you have a happiness ceiling? It's part of what's helped me to get my hope back. And I really feel like the last 90 to 120 days, last 3 to 4 months, is when this came to me so powerfully that I believe there was a limit on my happiness. And I thought it was safe for me to think of happiness and that I had enough. But in reality, I'm freedom seeking and I need to know that what is possible for me is limitless and that I can still also feel very comfortable with having enough. So the happiness ceiling is something I want you to think about. So let me just define it for you first. Like, I want you to think about if you feel like you should just be grateful for what you have and you should not want more. So like, in particular, women over 40, if you have a career that you love, but you haven't quite found the love that you would like, well, I should just be happy I have the career and I could live without the love. That is a happiness ceiling. It is possible. It is possible, regardless of what the stats and the news and everybody else, your grandma and everybody says, it is possible for you to have a career you love, for you to have family if you choose that route for you, whether it is family that you have biologically or a family that found family that comes to you or you go seeking that, right? Or love, that you have a partner in a way that works for you, that is possible, that you have the amount of abundance or the money that you want, that is possible. Okay, so a happiness ceiling basically is you decide you should just be glad with what you have and you shouldn't want more. And I think how some of this has come about is that for so many of us who were on an ambitious route or we were climbers, the going for more exhausted us and made us feel terrible. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you realizing that you don't just have to be happy with your little plot of earth, that you want to acquire the adjacent plot of earth because that makes you feel good too, but that you don't have to kick your own ass, beat yourself up, uh, make your burn out or be exhausted to get to that level. The happiness ceiling actually allows you, like letting go of that, allows you to do things like redefine yourself, to feel more comfortable in your skin, to decide you're going to play by your rules. And like, if your rule is, I just want to be, I just finished The Marvelous Miss Maisel, and Miss Maisel, however you feel about it, her love of her life was her career. And if you can reconcile that and that's great for you, that's fine. It's just the reality that you can have whatever the all is that you want, which for some of us feels like such a dangerous message, because when we were empowering people, we're like, no, don't go for it all. Well, you can go for it all without steamrolling yourself into exhaustion. And that's what letting go of that ceiling is. Because for someone like me, at first I found some relief in realizing like, I don't gotta like try to kill myself. I'm sorry to use that reference, but that's what came to my mind, to try to get to a next level. And literally, I mean, literally run myself into sickness and, all in disrepair, that I could just accept where I was. Well, part of accepting with you where you are and who you are is understanding what more you want to become. That's my belief. Do you have a happiness ceiling? Do you think that the current happiness you like I should just be happy with this 2.5 kids, with this picket fence, with this house? Like, what else is there for you? And I want to talk to you. This is such a personal journey for me, because I didn't even know. And I want to make sure you understand this. I didn't even know I had a happiness ceiling. No one looking at me would have thought I had a happiness ceiling, but that goes back to that. I just want my hope back of episode 1. Like, why the hell don't I feel connected to myself, connected to my life, connected to the people in my life? What the hell is happening? Like, why I have this career that I like, but I'm not going to a next level, but it's not making me happy. What is happening? Well, it was a happiness ceiling. I literally would not allow myself to go to the next level because, and I'm going to tell you, Gay Hendricks, the author Gay Hendricks, calls these upper limits. I think the seminal work on realizing you have a happiness ceiling, he calls it an upper limit, is his book, The Big Leap. I think The Big Leap does better than any other book that I've ever read to define what an upper limit is and to help you inch your way through it. I was listening to that book and I about fell over on my walk because I was like, this is it. I cried, I journaled. Gay Hendricks has a bunch of questions in it to ask yourself. And I was like, oh shit, this is me. And so I'm going to take you through this. I am going to cheat sheet you for a minute and tell you one of the biggest things that I recognize as a life coach, as someone seen as being fairly healthy and happy. I realized my emotional maturity was not where I wanted it to be. So that's going to be one of I've got 3 for y'all. 3 for you. Just 3 things to think about, 3 big rocks of your happiness ceiling. And I want to talk to you too about, before we even get into this, about changing, because this happened to me and I did not know what was going on. So sometimes when you change, the pendulum swings over to the other extreme. Okay. And you, I, if there's a such thing as human nature, I actually think this is it, because I think human beings, when they make a change, and remember, you all, change is also a physiological, biological process, which basically means when you're changing, your brain is literally trying to make do with the new information that you have. And it is a hard process because your brain thrives on you doing the same thing over and over. As a matter of fact, it sends up chemical signals for you to handle things the right way. And not to get lost in the sauce, but let's do it. What we call a feeling is literally a physical feeling. It's a vibration. It is a physical sensation in our body. And so that means if it's a physical sensation in our body to an emotional trigger, that there could be 100 processes happening behind the scenes. So what's the point I'm trying to make in this? What I'm trying to say is that when you change, it is one of the most difficult biological, the most difficult brain-based, the most difficult body-based thing you can do. And that's why it's so dynamic, but it comes in often swinging all the way to the left. I see this with y'all all the time, especially with weight. I'm going to lose weight and cut out all sugar, all carbs, all like fried food, everything. I'm just going to be plant-based. That's you swinging all the way to the left, right? And then, like, if you decide you like that life, you stay that way. And some people do, right? But then most of you swing all the way back to the right, which is how you were eating before. I think there's the mellow of the middle where, and this is how I teach weight loss, right? If you're interested, go to kimarrington.com/weight loss. The program will be out in the summer of 2023. I don't know when you'll get this episode, but the middle means that I can be plant-based when I want. I can have birthday cake when I want, but there's something inside of me that allows me to take it at a pace and in a way that isn't so swinging all this far this way and swinging all this far back the other way. That's the thing about change. We don't really do that. We go to extremes. And if you want me to truly tell you, like, what the way to handle that is me telling you, try to be more mellow in your change. No, you can't. That's almost going against how your brain is and your human nature, unless you have someone guiding you through the process. Hello, a coach, a therapist, but who can see it from different standards. But what I want to tell you is be patient with yourself if you swing all the way to the extreme. And be patient with yourself if you go all the way back to the other side of the extreme. If you stick with it, you can get to the mellow of the middle. The mellow of the middle, where you aren't so diehard about having to be extreme on either end. You're in the middle of that. That's what it is. So, but be patient with yourself and other people when they're driving you crazy, because, and I can be people. I've gotten some new information and all I want to do is talk about it. All I want to do, everything is, or when you meet somebody new, all you want to do is talk about them. And then something happens and you swing to I can't stand them, or I can't believe this didn't work this time. If you stick with the situation, there is a middle that's available. All right. So we're going to talk about perception today. And I really wanted to do this podcast was inspired by something that happened to me in the summer. So I was minding my own cupcake ass life. Notice I said my cupcake ass life. Going to get, there's a great shop in my town called Small Cakes. Y'all know I live in Durham. And I was going to get a small cake. And I actually wear the shopping center is, I used to live across the street, and then I've lived all over that side of town, right? I know it very well. But on this particular day, there was a man, and he was by his car. He was kind of talking to himself, and that didn't alarm me. But then it got a little bit more vigorous, and I was like, okay. So I walked in to get my cupcake ass life together, and I got the cupcake. And when I came out, I was blown away. So when I started to see him talk a little bit more vigorously to himself, I was thinking, maybe there's something mental health going on. Maybe there's something that's happened. But when I came back, he had put a prayer mat behind his car, and he was praying. I'm going to assume that the man was Muslim. It made me stop in my tracks. The reverence of it all, and honestly, the danger. He was literally behind his car, and there were cars going back and forth between, when you're in the parking lot and there's two lanes of traffic. And also, here is a Muslim man in the South. And we know how terribly racism, and all the isms have been to the Islamic community. Here he is, such a profession of faith in the middle of it all. And when I got in my car, I was like, perception is everything. What I had initially perceived in my therapeutic way as Coach Kim was that this guy might have been having a crisis. And maybe he was. Maybe he had a hard day. I don't know. But what I perceived was a man who stopped everything and prayed. We need to talk about perception, y'all, because there is a way that perception is narrowing. That's a hard word to say. It's making your life more narrow. It is. I want to show you all that life is wide. I had a friend who said that to me. Life is wide. Shout out, Kenya. You said that. I don't even know if you remember you saying that, but life is wide. When we narrow things, we begin to feel constricted. So we're going to talk about 3 things. Now, y'all know I always threaten you with another podcast. If it gets good to me, if I start feeling, tuned up, I'm going to threaten another podcast. But I want to talk briefly about how you are making your life more narrow with perception of others, your perception of self, and your perception of life. Yes, a tall order, but let's get to it. So we ain't got to break it down. We know perception is all about how we see things, and we are human beings. We think we see things with just our eyes, but no, we see things with our ears. We see things through taste. We use all of our sensory perception, right? Touch, all the things to make sense of it. But here's the thing that I always tell y'all that you're seeing with that you don't know is running the show. And that is your subconscious mind. Now let's go back to the gentleman who was praying. Our subconscious minds have taken a little bit of a battering with all the headlines about the things that have happened to people, right? Our subconscious minds are those little recorders that take in all the things that could happen and all the things that have happened to us throughout our lives. I'm talking about from the time you was a baby child to the time you take your last breath. Your subconscious mind is engaged, and its only desire is to keep you safe. It remembers everything that made you feel shitballs. Now, this gentleman who is praying, right? My mind, my subconscious mind is thinking, here is a person in crisis. Now, remember, I'm not consciously thinking this, but I pulled it out when I was in the car. My car time, I come correct with myself all the time. My subconscious mind immediately went into, if he's having a mental health crisis, do I need to put some distance between myself and him? Okay. It's not happening on a conscious level for me. What's going on? What's wrong? Does he need help? Do I need to call some? All those things are happening unconsciously. Is he going to hurt himself? Whatever. But the problem with that is that it runs constantly in all situations. So let me give you a couple of examples. If you have had a difficult time with friends, your perception of others or family or anybody may be that people can't be trusted. I start people with zero trust, and then they earn trust. Now, I've known these people, and it's hard to get close to these people because you can literally feel them saying, you getting zero trust. I don't know you. Now, we do live in a world where things happen, where we do things to each other. Not gonna lie, right? But if you think about most of the time in your life, you go about your merry way and things don't generally happen. But your subconscious mind is running this movie of the things that could happen, that did happen. It's like one time I remember saying to a friend, she was like, oh, my cell phone's not working. I needed it for emergencies. And I literally said to her, how many emergencies have you had with your cell phone? And she stopped for a minute and thought and was like, maybe one, two, maybe three in the whole history of having cell phones, right? And I'm not talking about the emergency where, the kid needs to be picked up from school 5 minutes later. I'm talking about something that's like you on the side of the road or someone in trouble or, whatever. So our perception of others is really heavily influenced by our nervous systems, our ability to figure out how we keep ourselves safe. So let's go back to that scenario of the person who is very cautious in relationships, right? And you might be that person. But you closing the door on any relationship, or better yet, having relationship perfectionism, right? Where the minute someone does something to you, their ass is grass, right? They are out of there. I mean, y'all, the way that relationships work is that when the hard stuff comes up and you work through it, you create intimacy. You get closer. I really wanted to say into me, see. I'm not going to do, I just did it. But you understand what I'm saying? So if you're a person always looking for the red flags, and it's just a normal thing that happens, then you are on high alert all the time. And how the hell is all of us going to be able to live up to your Jesus Christ standards? Okay? So think about that. Where in your life are you letting your perceptions of others cloud your judgment, cloud your ability to connect? We want to connect with each other. The community, the tribe keeps us alive. And I know we screaming self-love from the mountaintops, but y'all, we do need people. I need somebody to fly the plane because I don't know how to fly the plane. I need somebody to, service my mammogram and read the films. We need people. We need them. I want to talk another part about perception when it comes to others. So we talked about the friend example, but What about the perception of when people are different from us? Now, I got to brag. Something inside of me told me I needed all kinds of folks in my life. I needed multi-generational relationships, women, men, and, people who are fluid with their gender, or trans people, or all different types of people in my life. I have this perception, let's call it a lens, right? That I look out of. That lens is a 45-year-old Black woman who grew up in the South, and I could add on and on and on, all these identities, right? And sometimes I need help to reconcile realities that are not mine. And I got to do that with people. So some of y'all done decided to close off to a whole communities because your feelings been hurt. You took your ball, you went home, and you decided that you cannot have meaningful relationship with others who are different. I remember having an exchange with someone who was railing on about gay people. And I literally said to her, "How many gay people you know?" And it was crickets. Our perceptions of others are getting in our way. Our thoughts of how others can be, that's based off of, remember, our little movie in our head of what's safe and what's not safe. But here's how the universe works. God, nature, whatever you want to call it. Here's how it works. It's going to keep bringing you in opportunities to challenge that idea of who people are. How do you deal with that, y'all? How do you deal with that? I talk out loud to myself. Y'all know I'm a walker and talker in this neighborhood. I will walk and talk. I literally will talk my problems out. I don't judge myself. I trust that where I am at any moment can always get better. A therapist could help. A healing circle can help. Sharing it with a friend can help. Calling up a hotline can help. But having a version in your head of how a story was supposed to go and only finding happiness if that story went that way is a setup. And I want to tell you that you can change that today. How? Giving you a little tidbit on each one. Sometimes you're not ready to go to this is going to be okay. Sometimes you're ready to go to a little bit of neutral. This thing happened to me. Then you go a little further. This thing happened to me, but I'm willing to see it in a different way. Then you spend a little bit of time of, this thing happened to me, and I believe I might learn from this. This thing happened to me, and I feel like even though it's hard, I can keep going. This thing happened to me, and I'm willing to let it go. This thing happened to me, and I believe I can still be happy. I can feel happy. So yeah, perception, y'all. The lens we look through is limited. It is. Mine too, y'all. It's limited, but it's through the work of continuing to ask ourselves what is it that we want? Who do we want to be? How do we want to be? When do we want to be? Where do we want to be? Asking those questions, answering them, and going to get it. Woo, all right, get out the pulpit, Kim. Y'all, stick here with me. I thank y'all for listening. Stick here with me. Not everybody's going to be able to coach with me. Not everybody's going to be able to do my group coaching program when I launch that. But you can come back here. I think I got about 5 years of podcast topics. And you can come back and you can get this and share it with somebody. Share what you've heard with somebody who you think can need it. Okay, who needs it, who is willing, it's part of it. You got to be willing to be open to something new coming in. And that's the thing that can change your life. Y'all have a good day. I'll see you next time.
Are you feeling what you just heard? Good, good. Repeat after me. You don't have to figure it out on your own again anymore. I'm here to help. Head over to KimArrington.com and download my free video series dedicated to getting you feeling your best right now. Look around, there's some good stuff waiting on you. Got questions? Well, we're always talking on the socials, so find me on YouTube, Insta, and the book. Don't be shy, y'all. Go listen to another episode or join me here the same time next week. Finally, don't keep good shit to yourself. Share this with a homie that could use some help too. Remember, we're not lying to ourselves anymore. We're not lying to our doctors. And you damn sure don't lie to your life coach.